We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Ring the notification bell. Smash the like button. Share the video if you want to support this independent National College Football YouTube channel with a donation. Help us grow the channel. Keep the lights on. Just hit that $sign where you make a comment and I'll get you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. As I have been promising since late last week, sometime this week, we were going to go back into the Holy Smokes Theater. And we're back. Today we are back in the theater. Now you see the chandelier, and you see the Holy Smokes, and you got smoke coming out of. And then you see the University of North Carolina, Wednesday, February 2026, February 4th, at, that turns out to be 6 something in the morning. It's very difficult to see. That is the time of when I created the image. When I created this image of the Holy Smokes Theater. Essentially, this was a couple of minutes after I got some form of communication from somebody, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, that there is more indications spreading around the chatter behind the curtain that at least the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten, and there's probably going to be other conferences as well, like the Big 12, ACC, but at least the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten are going to be most likely forming another media partner in the two leading candidates are Amazon and Netflix. Now, we've been kind of talking about this, kind of hinting towards this. But this morning, I got the word that this is now what the SEC and the Big Ten, when they're formulating their plans, when they're thinking about doing something different, possibly even going their silo, whatever. International markets, which is a big component to this. We'll get to that later. It evolves around ESPN. It evolves around Fox. It evolves around the current media partners, but they're also gaming out. They're gaming out. They definitely gaming out Amazon and Netflix. So, now, again, when I created this image, because this is right after the AI generator image. Sometimes they put the time of the image that they create inside the image, and that's what they did here. I did not ask for them to put the date and the time in. They just did that. Sometimes they do that. Okay. And I'm sitting there, and I'm minding my own business. And remember, I don't know much, but I think I love you. Okay, enough with the singing. I don't know much. I don't. But I don't want to use the word teasing, but once in a while, I've been saying to everybody, look, there's something in the water. There's a door open to us, but it's just open a crack, just a little bit of an opening. Something is different with Fox Sports. Something is expected to be different with Fox Sports when it comes to the Big Ten. Do people remember me saying that? I've said that like 12 times, 15 times. Like I keep, but I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what the change is, but we are told the relationship is going to change at least a little bit. I think I've been talking about that for like over the last year. It doesn't mean that Fox Sports is not going to be the 61% owner of the Big Ten network. It isn't like it isn't like they're not going to be the main media partner until 2036. Maybe it changes, maybe it doesn't, but something is changing, and I don't know what that is. So I created this image. I'm getting ready for the live show early in the morning. I've got a lot of other jobs I do. I'm poking and prodding. I'm dancing. I'm doing all this stuff. Caretaking for my mother. Taking care of the wife. Driving her to work. Driving her back. I get this. This comes. This is Joe Flint, Wall Street Journal media reporter. at 7:53 a.m. Central Time. Now again, this is about an hour after I created this image, after some correspondence with somebody behind the chatter, behind the curtain. And this is Joe Flint. Fox CEO Lachlan Murdoch, and I apologize if I mispronounced the first name, punts question on NFL long expected plan to reopen rights deals early. Now we're all right. It looks like the NFL is going to reopen. They've got so much power. They've got so much leverage. They're going to tear open their current media package, and they'll probably go back and renegotiations. NFL is going crazy. They're printing money. They just bought 10% equity of ESPN. Fox CEO punts the question on NFL's long-expected plan to reopen rights deals early. Says Fox Sports is prepared to rebalance its portfolio to accommodate a potential rights fee increase for the NFL. That's code for dumping some other sports. So, I was sent this message from the person who contacted me earlier, about an hour and 20 minutes earlier than this post arrived. And I was shown. So, look, do I know exactly what this... Do I know what Fox Sports means when it says to be prepared to rebalance its portfolio to accommodate the NFL, trying to still get the NFL rights deal, right? I mean, do I know if they're going to dump some sports, or what sports are they going to dump? Does that have anything to do with the Holy Smokes Theater? I don't know. I'm gonna. That's just one more thing that I gotta work on. I gotta poke and prod on that. But the chatter behind the curtain that let me know, and we'll get into it later in the back half of the monologue, about this Netflix Amazon world that we are going to enter into. It sounds like college football is going to enter into that world. This is college football's peek around the corner. It sounds like the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten are gaming it out. They're most definitely gaming it out. Does that mean that Fox, this whole thing that we've been hearing over the last year, that Fox, the relationship, maybe they don't, of course it's still going to be in Big Ten. Big Ten is going to be part of the Fox Sports portfolio. I would think. Yes, of course. But do they take a step back? Do they bring on a massive streaming giant to take 50-50? Or does CBS come in and take more of the Big Ten? Paramount Plus, Global, whatever that's called. I don't know. But I do think we're starting to see more and more breadcrumbs. And where it leads to, I don't know. I believe that the Fox Sports, according to what we've been told, is going to have at least a slightly different relationship with the Big Ten moving forward. And if this is the indication of that, I do not know, but I just wanted to show that. Just wanted to show that post of today. So, we are going to go in the Holy Smokes Theater. We're going back in. You got your popcorn, you got your pop. And in the first row, Amazon and Netflix, I'm going to tell you something right now. They are going to be permanent. They have permanent seats in the front row, in the Holy Smokes Theater, until the curtain closes on this drama. They're going to be in the first row. From the information that we finally been completely, a door was swung wide open early this morning. And, well, we'll talk about it in the back half of the monologue. So I do want to thank everybody for joining us here at Peek Around the Corner. We got a couple of other stories to get to. Interesting stories. One about Joey Aguilar. It looks like the Tennessee Volunteers have found their starting quarterback for 2026. It's the guy who had a pretty good season in 2025 for the people in Knoxville, Tennessee. And we're also going to be going over On 3 reporting of who is spending the big bucks. According to coaches and sources, who and general managers, and who's leaking this information, what programs are spending the big bucks when it comes to this year's roster? Bringing on this year's class. Bringing on this year's portal class. USC, the Red Raiders, and others. We're going to talk about that interesting article. I want to thank everybody who's come on in. But first, we got to get to the super chat. Ryan Willie, the Evil Badger. $2 holler. The Evil Badger. Giannis will be a buck after tomorrow. Giannis will be a Milwaukee Buck after tomorrow. This is my answer to you, Ryan Willie. No! We've got 22 and a half hours until the NBA deadline. 22 and a half hours. Keep your head on a swivel, PATC Einsteins. I know this is a college football YouTube channel, but I got everything riding on this. I don't want to be the mayor of Loserville City anymore. I don't want it. The best chance for a world championship for men's sports in the state of Minnesota is the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Minnesota Timberwolves. They're one piece away. Get Giannis to play with Anthony Edwards. Get it done. Get it done. Get it done. Let's go. If you see the report, if it becomes breaking news during this live program, put it in the chat room, and we're going to have a celebration. Thank you, Evil Badger, for the $2 holler. But it's going to happen. It is going to happen. It has to happen. It has to happen. Thank you so much. Kenneth Maynor, a Cloak and Dagger member for 10 months. If Mr. Beast follows through with the $100 million NIL backing for the Beast, Carolina Pirates football shifts sands in the G6. The G6 Cody Campbell. Now, is Mr. Beast gonna be the Cody Campbell of the G6? Is that what's about to happen? We'll talk about that later in the monologue. But Kenneth Maynor has let me know. East Carolina Pirates 247 site has been talking about Mr. Beast. He's worth a lot of money, a billionaire. It sounds like he might be spending his cash towards the ECU Pirates football team. We'll talk about it. Thank you for becoming a member for 10 months. You are officially knighted. Officially knighted. Cloak and dagger. Thank you, Kenneth Maynard. I appreciate your generosity. Thank you so very much. Louisville, try being an Islander fan. All right. Okay, I'm going to pretend I'm an Islander fan. Okay? I'm going to pretend I'm a New York Islander fan. Let's see. Islanders won 4 Stanley Cup championships. 4 years in a row. There it is. You're not Louisville City. The New York Islanders, Long Island, New York, has won more men's world champions in the state of Minnesota in all their sports combined. Nope. Okay, I tried on being an Islander fan. Way better than being a Minnesota sports fan. Okay. All right. First of all, I want to give everybody a roll call here. AMAC is in the house. Sun Devil Ager. Bruce Harris Sooner. Outlaw Skis. Don Scruggs. Georgia Bulldogs. Preston from North Carolina. I'm afraid to be a legend. Bob Swanger. Caleb Ramirez. Mr. Buckeye Bobcat. Stephen Vitt. The incredible edible Bill G is in the house. Rock Chalk. Jayhawk. I'm 22. Jeez. Jay Chapman is in the house. Rich Austin. Destry the Pirate. Uh-oh. They're waking up in ECU country. They're waking up, buckle up, and ready to roll in ECU country. Holy smokes. No, there's nothing significant about the time. That was just the time that the image was created. Go Black 45, Army of 48 breakaway. D5 Terps is in the house. The other Gygax is here. Healing, Florida is here. I got some rumors being thrown around that I need your thumbs up on, down on. Sounds good. The Architect, grabbing a popcorn and a drink. Mountaineer Memes is in the house. Grateful Trojan is here. Stephen Clark is here. Tumasta. I know I love you. D5 Terps, Olarmy. Tough Tony is in the house. Mr. Mazio. Hey, Greg, was down in Tennessee. Some talk of Vandy joining with Duke and jumping to the Big Ten. Northwestern supposedly pushing this. I have not heard of that. Not only have I not heard of that, I don't believe any SEC school is going to leave the Southeastern Conference. I have never heard anything credible about Vanderbilt or Texas A&M or anybody else. That's my stance on it until I get somebody. I'm not buying it. But if it happens, I'll take the big L here, but I'm not buying it. But thanks for bringing that up, Mr. Mazio. Appreciate it. Mike Williams is in the house. Fight on. The Buckshot Kid. Fox says IndyCar, MLB, NASCAR, so one or all three will go. That might be. Clinton Moses is in the house. John Grove. FIFA, Major League Baseball, NASCAR are likely on the chopping block with Fox. John Famlor is in the house. Who else is here? Who else? Janus is in here. MG Sooner. Mr. Monkey Says. Mr. Monkey Says is in the house. I'm going to sneeze. The Islanders beat the North Stars in the Stanley Cup Championship. I know. We won 4, but nothing in 40 years. Janus. The state of Minnesota, men's professional sports, which we have soccer, hockey, basketball, baseball. We have every sport covered in the state of Minnesota. We have won 2 world championships in all the sports combined since 1961. 4 out of 40 is double what we've done in the whole state of Minnesota. So yes, I got a reason to cry. I've got a reason to complain. Sam Darnold would be the first Trojan quarterback to play in the Super Bowl. Thank you for coming on in. Jacino, Movie Time Blues, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it. Bob Swanger. All right. I just want to show you guys this. Minnesota Wild look good. Oh yeah, they look good. Oh yeah. They look great. You know, they win in a lot of their hockey games, and the new defenseman, and all right. I mean, look, I don't know what to say. Don't know what to say. Wake me up when we're having a parade about the Minnesota Wild and the Stanley Cup. If we win the Stanley Cup, I'll make sure that the Stanley Cup visits the studio. All right? I'll make sure that happens. All right. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. Inside the NIL negotiations with the 2026 recruiting class, we're just going to go through just a moment of this. The biggest spenders for the recruiting classes. One SEC staffer speculated the USC Trojans class came in at about $10 to $12 million. Most of the cash doled out, put together, the 2026 class was front-loaded before the revenue sharing went into effect last summer. They're doing something because they spent a lot of bleeping money, a Big 12 general manager told On3. They got a good class, but is Lincoln Riley going to be the one to see them grow up? Or is it going to be someone like Jimbo Fisher? Texas Tech was the second most mentioned program. The Red Raiders have signed 2 5-star recruits this cycle. Other programs mentioned included Miami, Oregon, Texas A&M. The Texas Tech tax is real. An SEC general manager said agents will mention a number from Tech just to drive up the price. So the agents love Texas Tech because Texas Tech is willing to pay more than the market, the Texas Tech tax, and then agents are taking that number and they're going to other programs and they're like, well, this is what the Red Raiders are willing to pay for my guy. The Texas Tech tax. Georgia was frequently mentioned as the school that spent their money the smartest. Among the other schools mentioned that got their biggest bang for the buck was Vanderbilt, Georgia Tech, Alabama, Washington. All right. Vanderbilt 5-star quarterback Jared Curtis was the second most mentioned recruit. He flipped from Georgia to the Commodores on National Signing Day in December. Multiple general managers told On3 that Curtis is expected to make roughly $2 million in year one. It's either Jackson Cantwell, the Miami 5-star plus offensive tackle commit, Jackson Cantwell, or Jared Curtis in terms of cash being paid in year one. USC 5-star and tight end commit Mark Bowman was also mentioned by multiple general managers. Bowman's total deal value is between $5 to $6.5 million over 3 years. Mark Bowman got paid, a Big 12 general manager said. That guy has to be a major hit. He's got to be a grand slam. Lincoln Riley, USC, do you got yourself a grand slam and Mark Bowman? And then it talks about other things. It's just an interesting article. I just wanted to hit real quick. I'm not going to show all of it. It's a behind a paywall. It just came out. Just wanted to show you the highlights. Second story here that I want to get to before we go into the Holy Smokes Theater. Adam Sparks, Knoxville News Sentinel, early this morning. Joey Aguilar gets a restraining order versus the NCAA. What's next for the Tennessee quarterback? Tennessee quarterback Joey Aguilar has been granted a temporary restraining order against the NCAA eligibility rules by a Knoxville judge, serving as the first step toward his potential return for the Vols in the 2026 season. February 4th, Chancellor Christopher Hagerty issued a 15-day order in Knox County. It prohibits the NCAA from restricting Aguilar's eligibility because he played junior college football before his Division I career. But it is just a short-term measure. For now it is. I think it's going to be long-term. The next step for Aguilar is to seek a preliminary injunction which could extend his eligibility to the 2026 season. An injunction hearing is set for February 6th. That is Friday, 2 days from now. The judge gave 4 reasons why the emergency order was placed, according to Knox News. The plaintiff, Joey Aguilar, has demonstrated substantial likelihood of success on the merits of his claim that the NCAA's JUCO rule violated the Tennessee's Trade Practices Act. Another reason, immediate and irreparable injury will result in the plaintiff if the restraining order is not issued. Every day that Aguilar's future remains uncertain leaves him unable to prepare for the next step of his career. Another reason why this was granted, the balance of harms favors the plaintiff. The requested relief runs only to Aguilar, and the NCAA suffers no harm if Aguilar can play NCAA football for a 4th full season. Maybe not the NCAA, but the teams on Tennessee's schedule will suffer harm. The Southeastern Conference will suffer harm. The NCAA waived the JUCO rule for Aguilar and hundreds of other athletes in 2025. Another reason, no adequate remedy of law exists before a hearing can be had due to the time-sensitive nature of the plaintiff's claim. Each day that passes leaves Aguilar unable to prepare and jeopardizes major career opportunities, lost time, and opportunities that cannot be fully calculated or remedied with money damages. In Aguilar's complaint, the attorney asked for a quick resolution. If Aguilar regains his eligibility, he could re-enroll at Tennessee in March and potentially participate in spring practice. If the injunction is denied, and I don't think it will be, he'll turn his attention to the NFL draft workouts. Aguilar cannot wait much longer to know whether he's eligible to play college football in 2026, his complaint says. If the answer is no, he must turn his full attention to preparing for the NFL draft, a detailed process that takes months of preparation. If the answer is yes, that he can play in college football for Tennessee, Aguilar needs to be thrown with his receivers, joining spring practice in March, and otherwise preparing to be the starting quarterback for a major SEC football program. And finally, in the article, in 2025, Aguilar led the SEC with 3,500 passing yards, the third most in a single season in Tennessee history, along with 24 TD passes, and he ran for a bunch of yards as well. According to the complaint, Tennessee has a spot available on the 26 roster for Aguilar, as well as access to approximately $2 million in NIL money for the quarterback. So there it is. I think Joey Aguilar is going to be Joey Swagular for one more year at Tennessee. Now, look, I think that possibly could change the dynamics in the SEC. It's definitely going to change my thoughts on my top 25. I do not have Tennessee. Oh, I do have them. I have them at number 25. Excuse me. I had them at 25 because I was going, is Joey Aguilar going to be the quarterback or not? Back and forth, back and forth. Tennessee's going to move up in my ranking. In my way too early top 25, if he gets that full injunction, Tennessee's going up. They're going to go past Illinois. They're going to go past Arizona. They're going to go past Oklahoma State. They'll probably be right in that number 22, 21, 20 situation. So, Joey Aguilar might be Joey Swagular for one more year. One more year. All right. Now let's get into the Holy Smokes Theater. It is a Wednesday. Wednesday, my live shows are usually shorter in time. So this really, I possibly maybe could have pushed this out to a Thursday or to a Friday, but that's not how I normally work. When we got this information this morning, and this has been teased plenty of times, but the communication was different this morning. And I got a feeling that people are starting to wake up a little bit to where this Fox versus ESPN proxy war, I think that's going to continue for many years. I think. I'm more sure on the ESPN side than I am on the Fox side. But I think ESPN and Fox are going to be going like this. But I think there's going to be two other generals. And I'm not talking about the little general, the moderator who rules this channel with an iron fist. I'm talking about Netflix and Amazon. Got the word this morning. I'm unable, I'm not going to talk directly from the communication. But I will say this. Netflix and Amazon, they are being discussed within the Big Ten and the SEC for many different reasons. One huge reason is, we've been talking about it here at Peek Around the Corner, that the SEC and the Big Ten have been told over and over and over again the last couple of years. They have talked to a lot of people outside of their silos. They brought a lot of people in, expertise, saying you're leaving money on the table. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. And those international markets are ready to be opened up. 10 years from now, you could be making a whole lot of money on the international markets in Europe and the Middle East and some parts of South America. And in this communication, for the first time, I was told this morning that the easiest way and the best way happen to be the same when it comes to the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten. This is also true for the Big 12 and the ACC. But the communication that I received from somebody behind the chatter behind the curtain focused in on the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten. So that's what I'm going to do today. But I think that it applies the same for the Big 12 and the ACC. Maybe not maybe not at the full possibilities, but I think it applies to those and maybe others as well. The easiest and best way to reach those international markets in the Middle East is through Netflix and Amazon. It's the easiest way to do it. Also, Amazon and Netflix wants in. They want in. They want it. Netflix and Amazon say no to a lot. Now, according to the communication, Netflix and Amazon say no all the time to potential coverage of live sports. Remember, Netflix used to say no to all of it. And Amazon, there was a time that Amazon wasn't in it, but now they're both in it. Now they're both in it. And they're in it internationally. They've got the networking, they've got the connections, that is the solution for the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten. On the Netflix side, it is not a fait accompli. It is not a fait accompli that it's Amazon to the Big Ten, Netflix to the SEC, according to the communication I got this morning. But it is likely that it's a Netflix SEC connection. Listen to me carefully. We are reporting it's likely, but it's not a done deal, and it might be a Netflix Big Ten relationship. But here is one of the reasons why it is believed that Netflix and the Southeastern Conference are going to hook up. It is thought by this particular chatter behind the curtain, very important person. It is thought that when Netflix comes in, and they're going to come in, and it might be to the Big Ten, but the thought is more likely the SEC. When Netflix come in, they're going to put their toes in the water. Netflix is going to want to do 4 to 6, maybe 8, but 4 to 6. This is the thought. Obviously, none of this is done. This is not a report like this is what's going to happen. All right? But Netflix is wanting to do some major SEC or Big Ten football, possibly basketball, we're talking football right here, content. Something historical, something that they know that's going to have interest. Most of these games would be the rivalry games, regardless if one of the two teams are not having a good season. Something that they can sell internationally. Something that is built into the value of the Southeastern Conference. But it sounds like, according to the chatter behind the curtain, that a Netflix would not be doing a game a week. There would not be this, but it would be Netflix, SEC, watch us week 8, Tennessee, Florida. And that game would be, you could get it anywhere in the world. Amazon and the Big Ten, obviously there's more of a connection there. There's a lot of Big Ten alumni that works at Amazon, all that stuff. But that is not a fait accompli. Maybe it's Amazon with the SEC. But Amazon would be more interested in a consistent delivery of Big Ten SEC content. And the Big Ten would probably be more interested in that. So that's another reason, besides all the other reasons. What Amazon wants is what the Big Ten is willing to give, and what Netflix wants is probably what the SEC is willing to give. As of right now, nothing is done. Nothing is close to being done. It couldn't possibly be done because nobody's negotiating. Of course they're not. But the chatter behind the curtain is, this is what the Big Ten believes is going to happen. This is what the Southeastern Conference believes is going to happen. And what they want to happen. They want the big streaming giant for a certain amount of content. Now, there's other aspects to this that becomes a little bit more delicate. John Famlor, Greg, I read some interesting speculation. Netflix might have leverage wanting WWE Raw to be better to get WWE to start the process of Roman Reigns being the next champion. I heard speculation that it was Saudi money that wanted Roman Reigns to win the Royal Rumble. When you've got these big giants paying out a lot of money, you lose your independence somewhat, right? So let's go back to the Holy Smokes Theater. Now we're going to get to the sensitive part. Again, everything that I've just said to you all, none of it is done. None of it is close to being done. It can't be done. Nobody's negotiating anything. Netflix in another year might say, screw it all. We're not doing... none of this is done. But I'm telling you right now, the Big Ten believes that Amazon is going to be one of their partners. That's what they believe right now. And if not Amazon, then Netflix. And the Southeastern Conference believes that Netflix is going to be their partner years ahead. And let me say this before we just to remind everybody, Amazon almost became a media partner of the Big Ten. They basically were this close from becoming a member of the Big Ten, a media partner of the Big Ten. Hold on one second. I gotta clear something up. I gotta answer somebody. I got a lot of stuff going on right now. We've got a lot of stuff going behind our own curtain here at Peek Around the Corner. Give me a moment. Amazon went huge. Their offer was massive for Big Ten content in the last media rights negotiations. They outdid CBS. They outbid NBC. And it wasn't by a little bit. It was by a lot. There were certain people in the Big Ten that did not want Amazon to be a media partner, at least not yet. They talked about, Amazon, the Big Ten talked about, well, let's give Amazon something. Let's give Amazon something. And then we can judge on whether or not a big streaming giant is ready to, can pull in the numbers, can get the exposure. We're going to get the money from Amazon, but putting our content on Amazon, maybe we give them something. That fell through. Amazon wasn't interested in that. They wanted massive Big Ten content. So they decided to do the experiment on streaming with Peacock. NBC Peacock. And that's turned out pretty good, actually. So Amazon was almost a Big Ten media partner anyways. And Netflix wasn't even interested at the time for Southeastern Conference content. ESPN wasn't willing to give up anything anyways. But now if the conference expands, you're going to, now they're subleasing some content to TNT. You can see a Netflix fitting easily in to the Southeastern Conference family. I just wanted to bring that up. Now let's get to the sensitive part on this. Yeah, TNT, TBS is all Warner Brothers Discovery. Jay Chapman. So you're looking at Netflix and Amazon in the front row, and they're going to be there. The next time we put up the Holy Smokes Theater, and the next time we go into the theater, they're going to be in the first row. They're going to be on the first row from now on in until the curtain closes on this drama. You see Notre Dame, you see North Carolina, you see Miami. When it comes to conference expansion, again, if it happens within the next couple of years, and we believe here at Peek Around the Corner, on or before June 1st, 2027, we have reasons to believe, and I think we're the only ones saying it out there right now, that North Carolina is going to make some sort of decision on what they're going to be doing until about 2030. Staying in the ACC, reimagine ACC, but we believe a reimagine ACC or making a decision to file a notice of withdrawal to the ACC. North Carolina, Miami, and Notre Dame are on the stage. We did not make a change in that. Yep, Clemson. Yep, Florida State. Yep, Virginia. And a few others, Georgia Tech, Utah, Kansas. They're all in the theater, but they're no longer in the first row. They're no longer in the first row. That is Amazon and that is Netflix. The next time we go in the theater, ladies and gentlemen, you might be seeing Virginia sitting behind the Amazon. You might be seeing a Clemson sitting behind the Netflix in the first row. You might see that. But right now, I wanted to make a big illustration on why Amazon and Netflix are in the first row. Because what they're coming on board, even though they're not on board yet in 2026, 27, 28. How the Southeastern Conference and how the Big Ten can make as much money as possible, generate as much money as possible from a big streaming giant is going to affect how they game out their next expansion Even if the expansion happens before Netflix and Amazon become media partners to those two conferences. Does everybody understand what I just said? Even if Netflix and Amazon are not media partners of the P2, with the Big Ten, their actions, they're going to be thinking, how would this affect the potential alignment with Amazon coming on board? And the Southeastern Conference is going to be thinking the same with Netflix. And there is a wide disparity. Now this is where it's going to get sensitive. I'm going to leave some parts out for now. Remember, this is Act 2. This is Act 2. But imagine a Netflix with some big events when it comes to the Southeastern Conference. Imagine football, a handful of events, and imagine basketball and a handful of events. If that's the true relationship that Netflix is going to have with the Southeastern Conference. And Netflix is going to pay a whole lot of money, just like they paid the WWE and everything else. But if they're going to pay a whole lot of money to have SEC as part of their portfolio, and they're only really interested in paying a lot of money for a certain handful of events in football and basketball, who would they want? What would help the Southeastern Conference? Well, in basketball, it would be North Carolina. That's why we got them carrying the basketball there. Right? You put a North Carolina Duke game on, you got a handful of basketball games. We're talking 46 maybe. Nothing would do better than a North Carolina Duke game. You might put a Florida Tennessee football game. You might put I don't think you would put an Alabama Auburn game. I think ESPN would want to keep that. But what about a Clemson South Carolina game? Clemson Florida State SEC game. You got it. So what this communication was this morning, beyond the reasons why Netflix and Amazon would want to come in, and why the Big Ten and the SEC would want them, this is also going to affect the decisions around expansion. The chatter behind the curtain, North Carolina, Kentucky, yes. The chatter behind the curtain, the communication we received today did not mention at all about going into a silo. So I'm not talking about the possibility of going into a silo. I'm only talking about this communication that I got this morning. Think about the big events that Netflix would hold with the SEC regular season games. You can see a North Carolina. You can see a Clemson. You can see a Florida State. Possibly a Duke, Virginia. Big events. You don't need Duke. You don't need North Carolina to be a football powerhouse. You have them be your basketball umbrella. You can put North Carolina basketball on 2 or 3 Netflix games. And Netflix is going to pay a whole lot of money. International, take it internationally. Just some thoughts. And then the chatter behind the curtain talked about the Big Ten. Amazon would want a pretty big scoop of Big Ten content if they're going to go in. And I think the Big Ten is going to be willing to do that. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, this is where it gets interesting. Again, the Big Ten and the SEC, They are different. Amazon and Netflix, at least right now, the perception is they are different in what they want out of this relationship. If Amazon wants to come in and have a full bolt of content from the Big Ten, just like they did last time, then the Big Ten is going to have to give them a full bolt of content because Amazon's going to overpay. They're going to pay a whole lot of money. While the Big Ten's relationship with CBS, according to the chatter behind the curtain, is really good. It's really good. So you're talking about either Amazon taking a little bit away from NBC, or most likely the Big Ten expanding by more than 2 schools. By more than 2 schools. It's the Big Ten big scoop. If Amazon's going to be coming on in. If Amazon's going to be coming on in. So it seems like what Amazon would want is what the Big Ten wants. Now, the Big Ten, of course, they want this huge college football playoffs. And one of the reasons is because they believe they're going to be a huge conference in terms of members. That's their plan. That's what they're planning. They might not get there, but that's what they're planning. The SEC most definitely wants to go international. They've already paired up with Netflix on a preseason documentary on the SEC that went over really good. And then you've got the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. If this happens, if Netflix does get this relationship with the SEC, if the Big Ten does get this relationship with Amazon, and these streaming giants are willing to pay massively more, and maybe they won't in 3 or 4 years from now. But remember, the last Big Ten meeting negotiations, Amazon is willing to pay way more than CBS and NBC. If all this happens, how does Notre Dame keep up? How do they keep up? And of course, the Notre Dame brand, the incredible value of Notre Dame. You think Amazon would not like to have Notre Dame as part of the Big Ten family, Big Ten content? You put one Notre Dame football game on Amazon, one Ohio State Buckeye game on Amazon, one USC game, one Washington game, one Oregon. It's and then the last part of this communication that I got was the Big Ten Network is doing really good. We've talked about it. They're doing really, 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 really good, right? They are Nielsen rated, unlike the Southeastern Conference Network, unlike the ACC Network, Conference Network. So, and the ratings keep going up on Big Ten Network. And some of that has to do with the new way that they're bringing in this big data, right? How they're counting viewers is helping live sports across the board. It helped college football this year. So Big Ten Network has been able to take advantage of that more than the ACC Network and the SEC Network. I would not be surprised if the Southeastern Conference Network and the ACC Network become Nielsen rated. It is their choice. It is their choice. The Big Ten Network wanted to become Nielsen rated. So they've become, and now now it's all good for them because they've been able to raise their ad rates because of the higher viewership numbers. Now imagine the Southeastern Conference Network, the ACC network on Netflix. And there would be some sort of, it's a different way of looking at it. Having that on the SEC network, you pop that up on Netflix, and you want to watch the Mississippi baseball game, and you go into that field, and it's already, look, the Big Ten Network, the third tier content is already streamed out there in some way, in some fashion. But to have it on a big streaming giant, it's a possibility. That might change the dynamics, the value of the conference networks, if they can work that out. It might even bring in more money to these Olympic sports. Maybe, possibly. So that is why we had to do the update today. Miami, North Carolina, and Notre Dame remain they're on the stage. Besides North Carolina, besides Notre Dame, Miami is the school that has a lot of support within the Big Ten. Now, I've been saying this for a couple of years. It has not changed. In Miami, if you bring in Amazon International, you can see Miami's an international city. It's just another reason why Miami would be heavily looked at by the Big Ten presidents. North Carolina, Miami, Notre Dame, and of course, Clemson, Florida State, Virginia, Georgia Tech, Duke, Kansas, Utah, they're all in the theater here at PATC. We've heard things about all those schools that I've just mentioned. They've all had discussions. They're all positioning themselves. All of that is going on. Nothing imminent, nothing close, nothing's done, no handshake deals. You got the SEC looking at threatening the possibility of going silo, going on their own. But Amazon and Netflix are in the front row. And they're going to stay there. Because there is strong interest from these streaming giants. And there's strong interest from the SEC and the Big Ten to take advantage. And I'll say this, and then we'll go to your phone calls, super chats. There is no, how do I say this? The Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten, they're just different. All right, there's a lot of things that are different among the two conferences. And I'm not saying one's good, one bad. They're just different. But what the Big Ten, you've got three major media partners: Fox, CBS, NBC. With the Southeastern Conference, you've got ESPN. There is no way on God's green earth, that the Big Ten, if they pull the trigger on having another media partner, Amazon, there is no way the Southeastern Conference is not going to go with Netflix. I mean, that's right. That's not going to happen. In this world of, it's not going to happen. So I get that some people might not believe that the Southeastern Conference is never going to add on a media company that's not ESPN. I don't even think that's possible going forward. From what we've been being told and what was definitely told to us this morning. Amazon was this close to becoming a media partner for the Big Ten in the last media negotiations. There was pushback from it. I'll tell you a story of one of the pushbacks. It was Iowa and their athletic director. Iowa convinced Iowa's president at the time, we don't want Amazon. Our people don't watch Amazon. We don't have Amazon. We don't want Iowa football and Iowa basketball on Amazon. And they weren't the only ones, but they were the loudest voice. You go to Iowa now and you talk to the new athletic director, they're not going to say no to that because they have been presented. The Big Ten has been presented because of this third party potential private equity. They have been presented information saying that the Big Ten, you're leaving money on the table if you do not start spreading out to international markets. When you start going to international markets, you're not going to find a pot of gold right away, but you're going to find where the gold is hidden. You're going to get new sponsorships. You're going to get connections. You're going to get a following. You are. And that money is going to be coming on in at a very low cost in the years ahead. At the beginning, there's a big cost, but in the years ahead. The Southeastern Conference heard the same stuff. Unlike 3 years ago, unlike 4 years ago, unlike 5 years ago, the discussion around private equity has opened thoughts and minds of the Big Ten presidents, the Southeastern presidents, of what they want to do next. And it just so happens that these two giant streaming partners, potential partners, Netflix and Amazon, they've got the key to opening up these markets. Same thing with the Big 12. Same thing with the ACC. Possibly some other deals with the G6 conferences. But the communication this morning was about the Big Ten and the SEC. Let me first go to another very kind super chat here before we go to your phone calls. Mr. B's potential NIL backing, ECU's large alumni base, rabid football fan base, and NC demographic growth makes East Carolina an attractive candidate in the future ACC Big 12 realignment. Thank you for the $10 holler, Kenneth Maynor. Now let's slow down on Mr. B's potential NIL backing. You know what? I'm going to have an episode tomorrow on that. Kenneth Maynor, I'm going to have an episode on Mr. Beast and ECU. We don't want to, we don't know. I understand why you're excited. I understand why Pirate Nation is excited. Let's just see what happens here. We're going to follow the story. Mr. Beast, a billionaire, potentially ready to write some checks to ECU, get them ready to go. But yeah, the demographic growth, ECU brand is pretty good. You are correct, Kenneth Maynard. Thank you for the $10 holler. I appreciate it. The zone is a limited deal with the SEC, with ESPN. I've been told that the DAZN thing it's not going to be stopping Netflix and SEC if they decide to do things together 2 or 3 or 4 years from now. Remember, the current media contract for the SEC goes all the way to 2034. So that is ESPN, are they going to be willing to open up another negotiations with the SEC before 2034? I think it will happen. I think it most definitely will happen. And when that happens, the zone deal with that, I don't think it's gonna matter much. Just to throw that in. Okay, let me get to. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Thank you, Eva Badger, Kenneth Maynor. Appreciate the generosity. And again, earlier today, Murdoch, Fox CEO, punts the question on NFL's long-expected plan to reopen rights deals early. Says Fox Sports is prepared to rebalance its portfolio to accommodate a potential rights fee increase for the NFL. That's code for dumping some other sports. Now, that might not affect the Big Ten. It might. It might not affect the Big 12. It might. I do not know. No idea. But I'm just putting that out there because, as you know, the last couple of years, or at least the last year, I've been mentioning over and over again, we've heard something about Fox Sports and the Big Ten relationship at least slightly changing in the future. So I don't know if that has to do with that. We shall see, or if it'll affect that relationship. We shall see. Let me open up the phone lines here. Phone lines are open. You can talk about anything in college football that your heart desires. If you're new to the channel, or if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to this independent national college football YouTube channel. Subscribe and ring the notification bell. Smash the like button, share the video. I very much appreciate it. The phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. BYU has a more international appeal than most schools, given the missionary aspect of the church. I have BYU is one of the reasons. BYU, Utah, is one of the reasons why, when I mentioned that the SEC and the Big Ten are looking to go in international markets, the Middle East, Europe, and the Big 12 and the ACC as well, one of the reasons why I bring up South America is because I've been told that the South America thing could be a Big 12, some traction with the Big 12. Brazil, that's what I've been told. I don't know if it's true, but I've been told that Brazil is could be a potential traction when it comes to BYU and Utah and of course Mexico. And Mexico for a lot of universities in the Big 12. There could be an attraction there. Religious reasons, cultural reasons. So, just to bring that up. I've been told that a couple of times. My goodness. Gavin was arrested after a bar fight. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. North Carolina State playing Virginia in Brazil in August. Yeah. Now, that has nothing to do with BYU, Utah, whatever. But yeah, Brazil gets mentioned in this. Brazil gets mentioned. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But the Power Four conferences 10 years from now, 2036, their exposure to international markets is going to look completely different than they do now. So it sounds like I sound like a complete moron. I usually sound like a complete moron. But when I'm talking about this, I really sound like a complete moron. But I'm telling you, the plans, Brett Yormark has said it out in public. We're going international. We are going in it. We're going to have to, because the Southeastern Conference is going to. The Big Ten is going to, right? And a streaming giant is going to be the backbone to that endeavor. Don Scruggs, they play fake football in South America and Brazil. Look, and Greg Sankey and the University of Georgia and President Moorhead are not going to be able to send Don Scruggs to represent the Southeastern Conference in trying to push open new markets. Don Scruggs cannot be the because this comment is going to come back to bite him. They play fake football in South America and Brazil. No, you cannot send Don Scruggs to push open markets for the Southeastern Conference. The Georgia Bulldogs playing in Brazil cannot have Don Scruggs be a part of that event. Okay, the phone lines are open if anybody, you don't have to talk about the Holy Smokes Theater. You can talk about your starting quarterback. You can talk about Mr. Beast ready to fund ECU Pirates football. Coos Corners in the house. West Virginia ECU have had some great matchups over the years. Very interested in the Mountaineers' new quarterback, the Oklahoma Sooner quarterback. I remember watching him a couple of years ago. He started a couple of games early in the season. He had some skills. So, kind of interesting. Going to be an interesting year for West Virginia. Culture Origins makes sense. Basically, it will be like the WWE deal, international streaming, SEC rights to Netflix, plus a handful of games for the U.S. region. I'm not a WWE guy. I'm an AEW guy. So I don't really understand the Netflix. So what you're saying, Culture Origins, is, and Coos Corner is a big WWE guy, so he could correct me. The WWE has an international deal with WWE, Netflix, WWE. Internationally, Netflix spreads the WWE content all over the place, but in the U.S., there's some major events for U.S. region only. Is that what I'm getting?
From?
I did not get the name. Who's calling?
Professor Wild Ute.
Professor Wild Ute is on the line. Hold on a second. Buckshot Kid, TNA. Come on, man. AEW. If that's true, Culture Origins, if I got that right, yeah, that would sound a lot like what a Netflix would do with an SEC, according to the communication I got this morning. That sounds kind of similar. Go ahead, Wild Ute. The professor is in the house. The professor's in the house. Whenever he's in the house, I am the student. Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
No, that's hardly the situation, because I'm going to be asking you some questions.
I got no answers, but go ahead, sir.
Yeah, this is interesting with this new media partner consideration for Big Ten and like the scoops, right? And that's kind of where the first question I have is centered around. So the scoops for the Big Ten, possibly for expansion, there's been talk of an addition of 2 to get to 20, an addition of 4, or maybe even an addition of 6. So say that Amazon is added as a media partner, does that flip to an addition of a 4 big scoop or an addition of a 6 big scoop in your mind's eye?
I think it opens up the possibility of a 16 big scoop. Yeah.
Yeah, to get to 24 teams and all.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think it opens up that possibility. Now, obviously, we both know nothing's done, nothing is settled, nothing is imminent, right? It's just based on communication from somebody who knows a whole lot of stuff, as you know, and it's just like there's a pathway here, there's interest, and these conferences are gaming this stuff out. Brett Yormark is gaming a bunch of stuff out. He's not just sitting there going, well, this is where we are today. What are we going to be doing 2 years from now? That's not how it works. So they're gaming all this stuff out. And if Amazon comes in, they're gonna be a partner, at least right now. It is perceived that they're going to want a whole bunch of content. So I think the Big Ten is thinking big, 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 big. If it all works out, it might not work out. But they're thinking big, 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 possible silo, but they don't want to do that. But big, 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 and that would mean they need a whole lot of content, and that would mean a potential of an expansion to 24. But 20, most definitely. 22, looking more likely. 24, it becomes possible.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And I think at 24 and stuff, and how you could break, like separate the geographic regions of the conference, and like I think you play off that a lot. Like if you were at a 24-team conference, I think that's like a perfect ideal structure for a national conference like the Big Ten. And then like you stop at 24. You don't need to grow from there. So that's exactly what I was thinking too. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. And here's the second question. And this is off the wall spitballing and just talking, okay, about this, because this hasn't been brought up like seriously or anything. It's just like I've been thinking about this, guy, and like and I know that like Fergie on I think on a live show a day or two ago brought this up maybe in a super chat to you, and I just like wanted to see thoughts on this too. Okay, so obviously we've talked about the Utah Utes and realignment, Utah Big Ten connections. But like, okay, let's talk about BYU Cougars, okay?
Yep.
For a second. And like, look, for, BYU with the old like Pac-12 ties and everything, with a lot of those schools that moved over to the Big Ten, they didn't necessarily have like deep relationships, and like it wasn't like great like cultural fit. And so Big Ten and BYU seems maybe like a very distant thought based on like cultural fits largely and everything. Yep. But I also realize the SEC is looking for AAU-based research schools. They kind of both, Big Ten and SEC, want the same type of caliber schools with the same type of, AAU focused and everything, right? But like, is there a place for like, so BYU, they broke into the Power 4 conference barrier because the Big 12 did give them a shot.
Yep.
Right. Now they're in the Big 12 and they're doing really well. Like their academics are good. They check a lot of the boxes, right? And like still probably not the box. They still don't check like that perfect research-based university cultural fit. But I would think, just in my mind's eye, that if you were looking at the Power 2 and like BYU, that the SEC to me would be a better fit than the Big Ten culturally for BYU. Well, not a perfect fit, a better fit. And I'm just like thinking, is there, if there was a lot of expansion that went on in the SEC and they went after a Kansas and maybe did some more considerations for maybe like a Colorado too. I mean, if you go for Kansas, maybe Colorado's there in the future too. They're AAU based. Like, do you think that BYU could one day end up in one of the P2 conferences, namely the SEC?
If the Southeastern Conference would ever break out of their one region conference, if you consider Texas and Oklahoma as part of that region, which you can debate, but if they break west of Oklahoma, if they break west of Norman, then you would be looking at the schools that Buff said, like you'd be looking at a Colorado, you'd be looking at a Utah if they weren't part of the Big Ten. You'd be looking at Arizona State, BYU. That is very interesting.
So I guess, do they still? So BYU, before they got into the Big 12, a lot of the conferences didn't want to add them for cultural reasons. I'm just going to call it that.
Not playing on Sundays,
that's a big
probably,
topic, right?
Something,
Right.
I will say BYU, look, their value only goes up in the world of, well, first of all, their value only goes up in the world that we're in right now, NIL and all that stuff, right?
Right.
But their value even goes up further when we're talking about conferences trying to reach international markets.
Right.
And BYU would help in that. In fact, I was told a couple of times about the country of Brazil. I don't know. They must have Latter-day Saints in Brazil. I don't know, but for whatever reason, like a Utah, BYU, so
there's a lot of missionaries that are sent, LDS missionaries to Brazil.
Okay.
And in South America, like you're alluding to. So they've got some pretty deep roots.
Yeah.
Like the LDS Church does in South America.
Okay.
And so that's probably the connection that you're hearing.
Okay. So so this world only helps BYU. Now I don't think it helps a Notre Dame or a BYU or any other school, independent school. But yeah, I think that would help BYU potential to get into a P2. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. It's to me, it's did they break that barrier by getting in the Big 12? Because there was a cap there, but all of a sudden they did get in the Big 12. Is there another cap to get into the P2 based on, the cultural differences? That's really kind of where I wanted to go with this call and stuff, because I just wanted to spitball. You hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. If we're going to a 24-24 world, in which, and I'm talking SEC and Big Ten right now. If we're going to a 24-24 world, and we're talking about a world of going in international markets, and it's NIL, and it's I think the candidates today are a little bit different than the candidates of 5 years ago. And I think BYU would be one of those candidates that would have a chance, definitely in today's world, and Utah, of course. I think
it would be very interesting if one day if Utah was in the Big Ten and BYU was in an SEC.
Yeah,
that would be very fascinating.
Yeah, that would be.
I know we're a million miles away and stuff. That's speculation. But hey, Greg, thank you for the time and stuff.
Appreciate
Thanks for those spitballs.
Thank you,
take
sir.
care.
Great call. Waju, the professor. Badger-born mouth fan, jumping Jim Brazil and Greg Gagne versus Mad Dog Vachon and Baron Von Rossky. Greg Gagne gets a bad rap. Sorry, Greg Gagne was a great performer. He was. I know he was the son of Vern Gagne, but he was a great performer, and he gets a bad rap out there. I'm telling you, I'm defending Greg Gagne. Gagne. Hold on a second.
Call from
Moen, P.I.
Moen. Greg Gagne was a very good performer in the AWA. He gets a bad rap. I know he was only 178 pounds, but he was a very good performer. He was believable. He gave it all. Greg Gagne, high flyer. What say you?
Greg Gagne got pushed because of who his father was. He went up to the top of the card way too quickly.
Oh, come on. You jeez. You know what? And let me, does all Ohio State Buckeye fans have bad pro wrestling takes? Is that ingrained in your state? Go ahead, sir.
I don't think it's a bad take. I think it's a good take. The
All
only
right.
one that was worse was the kid down in Tennessee. Daddy said sell. I forget that kid's name, but he was another one that was just awful. Promoters' kids in wrestling just they don't tend to pan out, you know.
Ray Gagne he sold. He was a good tag team wrestler. And he never, they offered him the World Heavyweight Championship in the AWA and in the AWA, and he turned it down. He said, no, I'm not believable enough. You got to give him credit for that.
Yeah, I'm just a believer that promoters' kids generally just don't pan out.
Okay, all right.
Eric Watts, I mean, you could go down the list. Mike Graham, I wish I could remember the name of the kid from Tennessee, but they ended up splitting that territory based off of how bad
you're
that
talking
kid
about
was.
the Jarretts.
Yeah, but it was the one before Jarrett. Before Jarrett split off from the kid is the reason Jarrett split off from him. But I cannot think of the guy's name. They nicknamed him Jet Set. He was just not a good wrestler either.
Okay, I don't remember.
Yeah, but I just interesting news about Amazon.
Yeah.
How soon do you think something like that would? Is the Big Ten going to go to negotiations early?
I don't think so. I mean, unless they make a determination unless they expand before the next meeting negotiations, which I think there's a better chance they will than not. And if that expansion is so, if it's bigger, if maybe that expansion would have to move to a new negotiations, but I don't know, Moen. There's this background chatter, and you and I have talked about it, and I've talked about it on this program for over a year, that this Fox Sports relationship is going to change somehow, slightly, and I don't know what that means. So maybe, CBS and NBC, they're not going to want to renegotiate, right? So if you're going to have a renegotiation, if you're going to renegotiate the contract, that basically means it has to do with an expansion and bringing on another partner. In my mind, right now, anyways.
Yeah, exactly my point. I think it's a chicken or an egg situation.
Yeah.
So we're probably still looking towards 2029, 2030. Maybe some people jumping out of the ACC by 2027.
Yeah. I mean, if Notre Dame calls tomorrow, right, everything, they're already written into the contract. So that might not reopen the negotiations. But if they get like a Notre Dame in some big old, who knows, something crazy, like a Notre Dame, Utah, Clemson, whatever that is, whatever it looks like, maybe it's so big and it's so transformational, and NBC and CBS are willing to open up the books and let's redo this thing, maybe. But the old adage is that the closer we get to the current media contract running out, the more leverage the conference has. But right now, the more leverage the media partners have because they don't have to renegotiate. So.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, the kid's name was George Goulas. He was Nick Goulas' kid.
Okay, all right.
Just one of the worst wrestlers you've ever seen, Greg, I promise you. If you look up a George Goulas match and you sit through it, God bless you. I mean, they had this guy in every tag team because the guy couldn't wrestle worth a crap. So I'm going to stick by my opinion. Promoters' kids should not wrestle.
I would agree with you, but I have an exception. That's Greg Gagne. He was pretty dang good.
Okay, Greg. I will talk to you later, sir.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it. Great call.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Moen. Great call by Moen. Very much appreciate it. The professor and Moen calling in. Again, if you just joined us, received some communication early this morning from Chatter Behind the Curtain that basically talked about the world of Amazon and Netflix coming on in. It sure looks like it's going to happen eventually. And that's how, and it's going to change things.
From
John Grove.
John Grove, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir. I appreciate it.
Greg, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. I was doing pretty good until one of your callers kept on spewing some of your information. I'm going to go on, Greg, I'm going to be blunt here. I'm going to go on a soapbox somewhere to our good friend, to our good friend Western Civic back in the day. Utah, Wild Ute needs to get off his all these monologues complaining about why Utah is just not a fit for the Big 12. He keeps daydreaming every single time that Utah is going to join the Big 10. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen anytime soon. Yes, you got the Salt Lake City market there behind your back, and you got private equity, and perhaps that might be part of the motive, is that you're spending all this money here to try and get Utah into the Big 10. But there are so many better options right now in Utah, and I'll go as far as to say, because you keep on mentioning Utah and Kansas as potential candidates, I think you're overlooking Colorado a little bit, because if you're not looking at what Utah is doing and what their investment is and what Kansas is, Colorado literally invested all their opportunities with Deion Sanders, a big-name brand. You also got the Denver market in the background. I think you're kind of disrespecting Colorado a little bit if we're talking about the opportunities of Utah and Kansas, but I'm not going to completely hash out. I mean, these are just there's a lot of speculation at this point, but yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of getting fed up with Wild Ute. All due respect to Wild Ute, he's entitled to his own opinions, but my gosh, yeah, you got to dial it back a little bit. So yeah, that was a.
I don't think I'm disrespecting Colorado. I just don't ever. I don't look. For example, the Big 12, Pac-12 drama, when we did the Holy Smokes Theater, we had Colorado at the center of the stage through that whole thing, right? Mm-hmm. Months and months and months prior to any action happening, because I got the word that they were the tip of the spear. So I did not disrespect Colorado. I did not disrespect Colorado. I got the information and placed Colorado perfectly, and it turned out to be accurate information. I just don't hear Colorado when it comes to Big Ten expansion. Not at this time. It doesn't mean that I'm disrespecting. But I have heard Utah. Now, that might change. That might change. All it takes is a couple of calls or a couple of text messages or a couple of emails from people that I have been associated with for over 12 years. And if it says something different, I'm going to come out here and immediately say it. I'm not even going to sit on it. But right now, that's why I say what. That's why I say what I say, or I don't say what I say. But go ahead, sir.
Hey, as you live and breathe, man, you bring out the words as you hear them live. That's I don't know. I'm just kind of spewing out words randomly at this point. But no, I mean, it wasn't any shot towards you. I mean, of course, with the Utah talk, I don't know. every time I hear Wild Ute on the phones or any
Yeah.
time on his live shows, he just keeps on praising the gospel that
Yeah.
the Big Ten is the Holy Land, and I don't know. I mean, we're still several years far out from seeing that happen. Now, I do want to bring up the NFL conversations because you brought up you mentioned the fact that they could be going to the tables here pretty soon. I personally think we're not ranking that more bigger of a deal than it is, and I kind of look at it similar to what TNT had losing the NBA. It financially just crippled TNT and what set them completely all the way back. And I'm looking at it from a Fox and CBS standpoint, especially because if they lose out on some NFL content to Amazon and Netflix, I don't know if Fox or CBS would be able to use college football or college basketball as a permanent gap fill to kind of fill in the inventory. Well, the inventory is there, but the return there will not be as big as what it was to the NFL. So I'm very intrigued to see how consequential the effects would be if the NFL does happen to go towards more of a streaming route and what it would mean for several of the bigger networks, because I think that could set up a ripple effect for whatever Amazon and Netflix, well, more so with what Fox and CBS choose with the several of their content partners. You mentioned that the Big Ten and the Fox relationship is kind of a different feeling than it was initially, right?
It sounds like there might be a change in store. It could be a slight one. It could be a big one. I really don't know, but I've been alerted to it multiple times over the last year.
Yeah, I don't think the Big Ten would be on the chopping block. I mentioned it earlier in the chat. I don't think the Big Ten would be on the chopping block as far as what Fox would be in term deciding as far as decisions go.
Yeah,
but
I don't think so either. But maybe a change in relationship. Go ahead.
I guarantee you, Fox especially, CBS, NBC, those three catalysts, I guarantee you they're going to spend as much money and as much resources as they can to try and block or at least prevent the streaming platforms from getting a complete overhaul on the NFL schedule and television rotation, if you will, too. So I don't know, but that's just kind of my observations. Mm-hmm. But I think whatever happens with the NFL, I think that we'll see that playing into effect with what's happening currently in the Holy Smokes Theater and what you mentioned today. And I think it's essentially aligning as far as the TV aspect goes, and we'll see what else is happening with all the rule changes in college football. So I don't know. That was just my 2 cents, though, Greg. I'll let you go, and hope you have a good one, my friend.
Okay, I appreciate it. Great call, sir. Excellent. And here's what Kenneth Maynor has been talking about, ECU Pirate. Trending, YouTube star Mr. Beast hinted at spending $100 million on ECU to try to help them win a national championship. This would have sounded crazy a few years ago. This is Recruits CFB, but may not be out of the question now. Mr. Beast lives in Greensville, North Carolina, which is also where ECU is located. Would you guys want to see him try this, or do you think it would be too harmful to the sport? Mr. Beast, possible, maybe possible. Getting ready possibly for some NIL money going to ECU. And here is the hoist the colors, ECU Pirates. Mr. Beast teases $100 million backing for ECU football to make a national title run. Could the Greenville native get directly involved with East Carolina athletics as Pirate fans have wished for years? Mr. Beast, whose real name is Jimmy Donaldson, shared an AI image on his Instagram story Tuesday, February 3rd, of him handing an ECU football player cash with the headline, "Could Mr. Beast spend $100 million and make ECU a national champion?" Donaldson, which is Mr. Beast, replied to the story with the caption of, "Should I do this?" And there is the picture. So what do you guys think about that? Mr. Beast, is he going to be the Cody Campbell of ECU? Could he become the Cody Campbell of ECU? I'm going to be following that story. Thank you, Kenneth Maynor. Thank you, Kenneth Maynor, for giving me the heads up on that. I very much appreciate it. The Von Erichs and the Funks are the only exception on the promoters' kiss. Well, Kerry Von Erich was a hack. Kevin Von Erich was a hack. But they were very successful. I mean, they very popular, drew well and all that. But in the ring, man, they were a complete mess. Terry Funk and Dory Funk Jr., yes, you're absolutely correct on that. Nobody better than Terry Funk. Nobody better than Terry Funk. So, Moen, I got to give you half credit on that comment. Half credit on that comment. Holy smokes. Look at the massive super chat by OBD Dunn. Was on a nice walk. Well, we got to give you the music here. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. Wow. Wow. OBD Dunn, super chat, was on a nice walk through the Holy Smoke Mountains. I noticed a fleet of drones coming my way. As they flew over me, I saw letters that said SEC. In one lone gopher drone, lagging behind, of course it's behind, it's not ahead. OBD Don has the drone lagging behind. Think it was looking for a hockey natty. They were coming from Silo Mountain. March has started. March has started. Now, are you talking about the month of March? Because the month of March hasn't started, but the March has started up Silo Mountain. And are you indicating that the Minnesota Golden Gophers are going to be joining the SEC? Is the Southeastern Conference looking at taking Minnesota away from the Big Ten? Are we talking about that? No, I don't think Opie's talking about that. I don't think he is. Because he's got the Gopher drone way behind, lagging behind the SEC drones. But we are looking for a hockey natty. Thank you so much, OPD Don. Thank you for your incredible generosity. My goodness. Moen After Dark, Disney movie pitch, Escape to Silo Mountain. Is the SEC, I mean, I haven't really heard, I want to hear Moen talk about that on the College Football Mafia show. Does Moen truly believe that the Southeastern Conference is going to go in their own silo? I believe they've started up the mountain. I don't think they've only just written an outline. I think they've started the mountain. I think President Moorhead is accumulating support. I think they're going to keep moving up that mountain. Now, they might turn around and come back halfway up the mountain. They might not make it to the summit, but I think they've started, and I'm interested in what Moen has to say about that. OPD Don, thank you so very much. Thank you for your incredible generosity, helping us keep the lights on and grow the channel. Thank you so very much. Appreciate it. OBD Don, an incredible, very important member of the PATC family. We've got a super chat from Moen After Dark. Phil Knight has probably spent $100 million on Oregon football and still has no title. Good luck to Mr. Beast. You know, it just came out a couple of days ago, and I'll cut out the picture of this and send it to Moen, and I'll put it up on the program. But PJ Fleck, he was at some event, and he said out loud for everybody to hear and record, PJ Fleck said that we knew during the season that Parrish was going to leave. We knew that during the season. He said that. PJ Fleck said that because there was some issues. I mean, Parrish did not have a very good season, and I think there's a bunch of things going back and forth. We've heard stories about Parrish having problems with the other captains. So PJ Fleck came out in the open and actually said, it was reported on here in Minnesota. PJ Fleck said, we knew that Parrish was leaving during the season. We knew he was going to be gone next year. And PJ Fleck also said in the open that Oregon is paying him $2 million. And Minnesota was a little bit over $1 million. $2 million for Corey Parrish, who had a great freshman season, a lousy sophomore season. That is a pay scale that Minnesota would never be able to keep up with. So that's just the truth. Minnesota's never going to be able to keep up with that pay scale. $2 million for a safety who led the secondary in missed tackles last year. Woo! Okay, buckle up. Buckle up. Cal Bears, way more than $100 million. OPC Moen, think that is on the low end. Thank you, Jensen Roberts. Appreciate it. Hit the like button. I have a bigger challenge. Get the Golden Gophers a hockey title. Oh, man. You guys are killing me. You're killing me with the truth. You're killing me with the truth. Why play him if he knew he was leaving? Well, there were times that he did not play. But anyways, the O stands for overspending. Terry Funk just had another retirement match. Ron Horton, imagine if you will, SEC takes North Carolina, Kansas, Duke, and Netflix get to stream UK basketball matchups internationally. The 4 all-time basketball blue bloods. Interesting. ECU has more dedicated fans for football than any in North Carolina. North Carolina State, ECU. Yep. All right, guys. I do appreciate you guys coming on in. I appreciate the super chats. Thank you, Evil Badger. Ryan Willie, thank you so very much for your generosity. Kenneth Maynor, ECU Pirate, thank you for letting me know about the Mr. Beast story. We'll cover more of that later on. We covered it just now a little bit, but thank you, Kenneth Maynor. Thank you, OPD Don, for the massive super chat. Thank you very much. And Moen After Dark, thank you for the phone call. Thank you, everybody, for the phone calls. John Grove, the Professor Wild Ute, Mowing After Dark. Thank you guys. I very much appreciate it. Now, if you're new to the channel, if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe, ring the notification bell, smash the like button before you leave, and share the video. I very much appreciate it. I love Petty Greg. Parrish has some salt. Look, I wasn't the guy that was missing the tackles. I wasn't the guy that was fair catching a punt at the 1 yard line. I wasn't the guy who kept busting coverage in the secondary. I'm just the fat guy from Minnesota reporting on the games. Am I salty? Yes, but you got to throw a little pepper in there as well. Thank you, Opie. Thank you so much for the massive super chat. Thank you. You have a great day. Ryan Brooks, I appreciate it. I appreciate you rubbing it in on the Tampa Bay Lightning, rubbing it in. Thank you, guys. Look, we're going to go on live tomorrow, and I got a feeling there's going to be more drama in college football, and we cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. So please join us. And again, before you leave, subscribe, ring the notification bell, smash the like button, share the video. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.